and it continues right now with safety Quentin Lake joining us. Quentin, it's a great night. You know, you were the last one up there on the stage, and people are kind of filtering out. We were talking a little bit during the break right there. Yeah. What's it like being up on stage there in front of those folks?
It's awesome. It's such an honor to be able to be in front of such an incredible fan base. You see the love and support and passion they have. So as a player, you know, that's one of the biggest reasons why we do what we do is because the people that, you know, fill our stadium, buy tickets, and watch us each and every Sunday.
Kevin actually said that he was a little bit nervous. Like he was taken aback a bit just because you guys play in front of packed stadiums. Yeah. But, you know, you got helmets on, shoulder pads. Like there's a little bit of disguise. Yeah. There you're just up there talking. Everybody's staring at you. It was a little bit weird for him.
Yeah, you know what? In this situation, it's a little bit more intimate. It's kind of easy when you're behind your helmet. You know, you're just playing football. But when you're actually looking in the crowd, seeing the passion and the expressions on people's faces, that's when it kind of hits home because you're really seeing face to face, you know, the emotions of people, you know, how joyful they are to see you face. So I was a little nervous, but once you get the crowd interacting and they start cheering, it's fun.
You know, Quentin, you and I spoke at training camp last year out at LMU, and it was before the season had started, and you know everything was kind of yet to reveal itself how the season was going to go, right? No one's ever exactly sure how it's going to be, and one of the questions was, what's this defense going to look like? You know, there are a lot of new faces, and a very familiar face in Aaron Donald had retired, and so what's it going to look like? And by the end of the season, look, it's Matthew Stafford, it's Puka Nacua, it's Cooper Kupp, it's Sean McVay. You're always going to associate with offense. But by the end of the year, it's like, you know, that Rams defense is not just carrying its load. It may kind of like tipped actually towards their side of the scales. Yeah. Did you know that you had that kind of group way back in training camp?
Yeah, we knew. We knew even in the offseason program. I would think the confidence, the ability for us to perform was all the hard work and effort that happened in the offseason. You know, that was the ongoing theme was, what is this Rams defense going to be like without Aaron Donald? And now that narrative it's non-existent at this point. It's really, man, watch out for this young defensive front, this young Rams defense. And that just goes to show what we put on tape matters. What we put on tape showed people that, hey, these guys have earned it. They have earned the right to call themselves a great defense because of, you know, the games that we had where we were almost shutting out people. You know, there were a couple games where we had a team, you know, not score over 10 points, which is it's
the NFL.
It's hard. That's really, really hard to do. Yeah. So I would say this year it's, you know, how can we keep that momentum going on?
We were talking with Braden, and he had mentioned how, you know, the defense collectively inexperienced. The leadership needs to come from somewhere. Yeah. He mentioned Kobe as one of the guys that stepped up, but also you. Yeah. How do you, I guess, discover the process of leadership, discover the confidence to go out and lead when you are still, relatively speaking, an inexperienced player yourself?
Yeah. You know, people ask me this a lot, like, you know, what do you do? What are some of the things, the core principles that you have? But you got voted as a captain for being yourself, being authentic and true to who you are. So why change, you know? As a captain, there is a little bit of responsibility, you know, being one of the leaders on the defense. There is a little bit of a responsibility, but it's finding how you are able to affect and influence others around you. And I think the biggest thing is that's what I had to do this season is what is my leadership style, you know? And I think I did a great job of that. And obviously Kobe Turner did a great job too. And I think the thing about it is all these guys have a voice because they've earned it.
Along similar-ish lines, your dad played in the league for a long time, many years for Emily Steelers. He was a very, very good player. I remember him. How much did just growing up around the league, like exposure to the league, acclimate you to having to do these things early in your career, do you think?
Yeah, it helps a lot. You know, I was in the locker room with Ben Roethlisberger and AB and really that Steelers defense, you know. And being around my dad and seeing his stories and hearing all the, you know, things that he taught me, really the transition was seamless. It really was. I credit him all the time because he made really the mental aspect of the game easier. Taught me how to film study, taught me how to do a bunch of different things that, you know, not a lot of people have access to. And really, you know, I always talk about this too. You look at all the guys that have dads in the NFL, they do pretty well, you know?
Yeah, it's not just the NFL. It's Major League Baseball. It's the NBA. Exactly. It's the path here's the path.
Yeah.
It's up to you whether you want to follow it or not.
Exactly.
This is how you get there. It works, and now it's just you don't have to find it on your own.
Exactly.
It's somebody that's kind of blazing the trail for you, right?
Exactly that. I mean, he did a great job of setting the foundation, but at the same time, letting me be true and authentic to myself. You know, it wasn't like, hey, you have to do it this way. It was, you know, Quentin, this is your life. Live it the way you want to, but I am here full 100% if you need me as a resource. And I realized over time, I was like, man, why not use him as a resource? Why not? You know, he's had over 20 years of experience being a coach and a player. You know, it just made sense for me to use him. And obviously, that's somebody I model my game after too.
Have you ever been to London before?
Never been.
Okay.
Never been. I heard the food is kind of but
it is.
But I heard it's kind of but you know, it should be fun. Anytime you get to go overseas, really with a group of guys like this, you know, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I wonder just the logistics of it all. Like a road trip is a road trip, but that's a road trip.
Yeah.
Like that is an extra ocean away.
Yeah.
Does it? I mean, you haven't done it before, but I would imagine that there's just extra stuff that you can't really prepare for until you go through it.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be worse than what we did for the Arizona game. That was crazy. You know, you have families, babies, kids, dogs, pets, animals. It really, like Tyler Higbee said it the best. It looked like Noah's Ark. It really did. You know, like you just got a whole, like it was just everything, you know, at one time.
How were you guys able to not, I mean, you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
The city was in a rough patch because of the fires, but it's like, hey, look, we got to do it. Is it just this is what we're doing? Can you stop and think about it as it's happening, or is it just we got to go? That's it.
I mean, one thing Coach Sean McVay said about our team is, you know, we're built for it, and that's kind of the mindset and mentality that we had last year, and that's when it really started. Is, you know, we're built for this. We're built to overcome adversity. We're built for hard things. You know, tough times don't last. Tough people do. And I think that's one of the, you know, core principles that we had last year is, yes, there are fires. Yes, our city is affected. Southern California is affected. But at the same time, you know, we're built for these hard times. And for us, our responsibility is give the fans, football fans in general, 3 hours of hope. And that was kind of, you know, what we wanted to do going, you know, through those couple of days where we had to go over to Arizona.
Sacking the quarterback 400 times probably helped.
Oh, my gosh. That was awesome. I think that was a record in the playoffs.
It was, yeah.
That tragedy last season that you guys had to play through, it reminded me of earlier in the time. It was maybe only a couple of years after the Rams came back to L.A.
2018, 2019.
Yeah, there's that tragedy, that shooting in Thousand Oaks, and fires.
Yeah.
And I remember talking with different Rams, and they said that, like, that experience, awful as it was, it made them also really realize how connected to the L.A. community that they actually were in ways that they didn't realize it until that moment of going through it. And it felt like last season was another reminder of you guys really are a part of Los Angeles.
Yeah, 100%. You know, when traumatic things like that happen, it gives you take a step back, and you're like, hey, what am I doing this for? You know, am I doing it for myself? Am I doing it for my family, or am I doing it for, you know, everybody, the whole community of LA? And I think that's really the perspective that we had when the fires were going on. We're at practice. I swear, we're at practice. The fires are going on in the Palisades. You can see them straight line. You look off to the right, a whole hill's on fire over there too. So, you know, it was crazy because you're living it too. And now you're like, well, is my family affected? You know, there's so many different things, but that Minnesota game meant so much for us, and I'm so glad we went out there and proved to ourselves and to the people of LA that, you know, we're going to give you guys hope.
It was a great moment, and it was a great season last year. We are looking forward to the 2025 season again. Yeah. Quentin Lake, of course, will be a very big part of that. Quentin, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.